Hey, what's up YouTube subscribers and 405th members? I wanted to take a minute out and talk about my hot wire table. A lot of people have been asking questions, so let's get to it. First off, I went to Amazon.com and looked up nichrome wire. They have lots of different lengths there, anywhere from 50 feet to down to 4 feet. I would say get enough that you can have extras. Second part of this you're going to need is a transformer. I went to Radio Shack because they had a big enough one for what I needed. Make sure you have something that produces at least 3 amps worth of power. Otherwise it will not heat up your wire, or it'll heat it up but not enough. So make sure you get the right one of those. Now I wanted to make sure that I didn't electrocute myself, so I had a black box at home that I put my transformer in, and then ran the leads out to a dimmer switch, which has an on-off switch and an up and down for adjusting how much heat is in the wire, because depending on how thick your material is, you may need more heat to cut it, or if you need to do faster cuts, that works as well. My 2 leads that run out the back are the ones that go to the table. No specific order as far as left or right, positive or negative. Just make sure you have like a little spacer so that they don't touch and you get lots of sparks. The alligator clips work out pretty nice because I can hook them to the vertical hot wire table or the horizontal hot wire table without having to have a bunch of extra cords or hooking them together, which is pretty nice. It also allows me to take smaller pieces of nichrome wire and hook them together and make rounded shapes, just in case I need to make different size or different shape cuts as well. But you can see I'm going to do a demo right here of how the wires work. Make sure don't touch those 2 together, or you will get some sparks. But when you flip on your power, you'll hear a buzzing across the wire. That means it's on. It'll be a little bit warm, but as you turn on the power more and more, you can see it starts to heat up. And if you have cut foam with it before, it'll smoke, and then at some point it'll start to turn red. If you go more than that, your wire will break. So that's why I suggest getting some extra, just in case you overdo it. You have some to replace what you've broken. Any kind of smooth piece of plywood will work for this. It'll help slide your material across as you're cutting. But I drilled a hole in the center and ran my nichrome wire down underneath the table, where I had a piece of metal which I screwed on that the wires wrapped around, and then I took a piece of another wire and ran it out the back so that I didn't have to hook up my alligator clips each time underneath the table. They were just conveniently stubbed out in the back, which allowed me to switch back and forth between my 2 different tables that I had. So now for the arm, I had a couple pieces of 1x2 cedar, which I just screwed together and drilled a couple bolts in to hook my wire to. But it's about 1 foot off of the table, which gives me enough room to cut materials and stuff like that without hitting it. And then you can see here that once you get it all hooked up and run your cables to the top and stuff like that, it turns out really easy to cut, especially when you have a nice smooth surface like this plywood. This one was one I had from work. It's a radiant barrier. You don't need this silver stuff on it. It's just something I had that was nice and smooth. And now I'm going to turn the table so you can see the 2 bolts that I have. The first one is for the vertical up and down, and then the second one I have set up is for actually cutting 45s, which actually works out pretty nice. But make sure your arm has enough tension on it. I had a couple bungees that I used to help put more pressure on the arm, because when your wire heats up, it tends to expand and stretch, so you want to make sure that the arm is pulling upwards so that it keeps your wire nice and straight, so you don't get curvy cuts, which you don't want. Now the horizontal hot wire cutter is exactly the same setup as the vertical one, just without the hole in the middle. Instead I use 2 blocks on either side to give the table itself an adjustment, so I can make thick or thin cuts just by moving them up or down. And then you see how you can hook your alligator clips over to bolt either side of it, and then if you turn it on and then put your foam on it, it should cut it. Sometimes you have to add a little block to it in order to get it, give it enough pressure to get through, but most of the time gravity will pull it through, and then you can get some pretty nice thin sheets for some nice detailing and stuff. You can go down to 1/4 of an inch thick. This one is almost a thick 1/16 of an inch thick. I mean, it's super thin. You can see my hand through it here. It's that thin. So I mean, you can get some really nice details by cutting super thin strips like this. So that's the basic rundown of my 2 hot wire tables. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment and I'll answer them. But other than that, thanks for watching, and more SMG video footage coming up.